Oh,
All right, everybody. Happy Monday, June 24th, 2024. My name is Albert. I'm the founder of Albert's List, and you are here for how to build a personal brand as a non-designer. For many of you, having a personal brand is essential during these job search times and in this job search environment. And so, to help you understand how maybe you don't need those fancy design skills, we brought in Shuling Wu. She's a AI artist, and she also has built some curriculum around how you can build your brand as a non-designer. I'll be sharing her LinkedIn. This webinar will be recorded, and we'll send you something in the next 1 or 2 business days. All right, Shuling, over to you.
thank you, Albert, for this introduction. And hello, everybody. Before we start, I want to give you a little bit about my background. Throughout my life, I have been actually a self-defeated artist. I'm wondering whether anybody else here can relate. I grew up in a family of accomplished artists, but that does not help you build your self-confidence, because if you can only doodle and but your brother exhibits his artwork nationally and internationally, you cannot help wondering that some time ago somebody forgot copying the creative chromosome onto your DNA. And so I constantly sought validation from others, only to convince myself that, forget it. I don't have the mojo for being an artist. I only got in touch with my creative side a few years ago when I did a design thinking project. And then I used my visual art skill, and that is preschool doodling, to conquer something imaginable to me, and that is to conquer the obstacle of mastering terminology to pass the exam to be a certified medical interpreter. In the last couple of years, as you all know, that generative AI just bloomed, and I took advantage of it. I played with a few AI tools, and these are my findings. First of all, AI is not going to replace human creativity as many people believe. It gives you a pair of wings for you to create artwork that you have never dreamed of. And secondly, at least at this point of time, AI generated artworks are still very random. And so you have to command basic design skills for art skills to adjust the images so that you can create the effects that you really want. And why do I want to share my experience with you? And it's because, the message I want to send to you is that don't underscore your own capability to create, but focus on learning the skills to build yourself up. And so let me share screen and start the presentation today. Can everybody see my screen now? And let's start from here. This is a portrait of an artist. I'm just curious, how many of you believe that artists are born or artists are made? And you can jot down your answer in the chat. While you do that, I want to share my perspective. Many think that artists are born with unique talents, but I believe that creativity can be cultivated, just like leadership. Take Leonardo da Vinci, for example. He is one of the greatest artists in human history, if not the greatest. And of course, he's blessed with talent. However, he also spends a lot of time studying math and anatomy. Here is a picture of his famous painting. the Mona Lisa. And Mona Lisa is created with a mathematical principle called the golden ratio. With the golden ratio gives the perfect proportion in most beautiful things you can create. And there's no doubt that Da Vinci used this principle mindfully. It's not a coincidence. And so Da Vinci's example shows that although there is the talent that you blessed with, but equally important is the principles and the design principles and artistic principles and use to create amazing artwork. And how many of us today have STEM backgrounds, engineers or scientists? You may be surprised in how those skills principles can apply to design. Welcome to experiment. I am confident that you can create amazing brand images as a non-design because all great design follows basic principles. Today, there's the agenda for today. I'm going to show you 3 design principles and 1 fundamental concept or technique. Then I'll introduce a few AI tools to you, and I'll end today's presentation with a case study and with my own design. You may wonder, well, why should we bother to spend time to study design principles? On their templates out there already? Yes, and there are a few examples, but there can be limitations using templates. And first of all, no matter how easy the template is, you have to customize it. But customization can be tricky because in design, if you change one minor detail, it can easily cascade into a chain of changes you have to make so that your design looks good. And it's difficult if you don't understand a basic design principle. And the second reason, and actually the more important reason, is that a template, especially a popular template, doesn't really help you stand out or express your unique personality. And
Hey, Shuling, can you move closer to the microphone?
Okay, so how about now? Is it better?
Yeah, I think this is better. Yeah, people are saying
Okay.
that they can't really hear you. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let me also increase the volume. Is it better now?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for letting me know, Albert. And it ties into branding. People define branding differently, but for this presentation, I see brand as a conversation between you and your target audience. It shares your story and the values that you offer. In visual branding, it's not about having a better looking design than your competitors, but it's really about standing out. And by standing out, I mean being different. And if you have heard of Harvard Business School competitive strategy, and you often hear them say that your competitive advantage doesn't come from being better than others, but being different. Because it's hard when you say, I want a good design, and then you're judging yourself with others based on the same criteria, and it's not easy to win. But if you're different, you're the only one, and it's much easier for you to be recognized. And so this is the principle that we are going to use today. And all of the and this is the branding concept that we use today. And all the design principles that we introduce today are going to help you create this kind of branding. And let's dive in. 3 design principles are clear communication, simplicity, and authenticity. And the first is clear communication. And the primary goal of any design is to communicate a clear message to your target audience. No more no less. If you forget anything else that we talked about today, is enough. That the goal of your design is to communicate to a target audience. And let's dive into some examples. And here are real world, and these are the examples that I find online. I particularly like the top two because they because they communicate who the owner is and what they do more clearly. And you don't have to dive into their profile. Just looking at the images, the words on their profile, you can pretty much figure out what they offer. And so, for example, the design on the left, and you see a typist, a typewriter, and then on the left, and then some envelopes on the right. And the word in the middle, and the message in the middle says, you type, we write. And so just based on this design alone, you can figure out it's probably they offer in some boutique services, and they can turn your typed up messages into beautiful handwritings and mail the letters out for you. And this design is also very good. It says, set your work in motion, and it uses an arrow to signify motion. And again, you can pretty much have guessed that they're probably offering career advancement services or or a service that helps improve your work efficiency. And now let's look at the two designs down below. Don't take me wrong, they're good designs, but this one on the left, and just some generic office items. If I just look at it without looking at her profile, it's very hard for me to tell that Ashley is actually a content marketing specialist, and she can be easily an accountant. Or this message, Lane, and this is a beautiful minimalist design, and it uses the company logo color. It is okay if your main purpose is to promote your company's brand, but it's not ideal for personal branding, or if you just want to tell others who you are or what you do. And I also want to use a couple of personal examples. And the first one is my baby, and it is beautiful. I have a confession to make. I begged Albert to present because this is probably the only chance that I can show off this design to others. It's not going to be shown on my new LinkedIn page, because when I showed it to my friend Susan, and her first response is, "Oh, are you going to host a show similar to X-Files?" I'm not sure why she thinks of X-Files, but it causes confusion, and that's not good. And so I decided to use this design instead. And because this leaves out the guessing, the combination of English letters and Chinese letters indicates that this is sort of at least a language service. It's not interpretation service. And so my own example shows that when you create your own branding images, oftentimes you don't just create one version. You can be obsessed, you can fall in love with one idea. But when you do that, always bear in mind that your design is a communication device, and you want to think from the perspective of your target audience as well, and see how they perceive, how they understand your message. And that is first principle, that your design is to provide clear communication. And now the second principle is less is more. And this is really about simplicity. Use minimalism to highlight important elements. And I want to call your attention that almost all iconic designs are simple. And here is an example of a design from Abby Connick. And she has a YouTube channel. I highly recommend it. She's a designer from the UK, and she redesigned a logo for a company called Ample Publications. And see, the left is a new logo. It uses three simple lines in the shape of letter A to signify the meaning and the not only the words but the meaning of ample. And then she uses a pencil to suggest that this is a publishing house. And the advantage of using a very simple design is that it gives immediate understanding. And a simple design conveys your message quickly and efficiently, and that helps you stand out. If the viewer has to guess what your competitor is offering, but your design is so simple they understand, you're going to stand out. And of course, simple designs usually catch more attention. And that is principle number 2, less is more, simplicity. Number 3 is be true to yourself. And that is all about authenticity. Authenticity in design creates a unique and memorable identity. Aim for a timeless design that remains relevant over time. And for example, you may have gone into a boutique coffee shop and they might use a vintage design that reflects its roots. It's okay, even though the current trend may be those uber urban, uber modern designs. Be true to yourself. And I want to give you another example of a brand that is true to itself, and that is Apple. And here is the evolution, the timeline of the evolution of Apple logo design. And the name of the brand name Apple and the original logo on the left were inspired by the apple orchards in Silicon Valley. Their first logo on the left shows Isaac Newton under an apple tree, and that represents nature, knowledge, and innovation. And now let's look at Apple's new HQ, Apple Park, and it still reflects this message, and with greenery and apple trees. And Apple consistently shows its commitment to innovation, simplicity, and nature through its designs. And this authenticity, in my opinion, I'm an Apple fan. It's why customers connect with Apple. And this is what it sets apart from its competitors. And now you may wonder, and how can I use the same principle to reflect my true self? And so my design can be both attractive and deeply resonant. And I want to show you the step-to-step process. And it starts with a question. And so here are some examples. What are your values? What do you or does your brand stand for? Your aspirations and personalities. And after that, you transfer these words into what is called a mood board. A mood board is basically a collage of, like images or quotes or textures to show how you or how you want others to feel about you or your brand. And so let's look at the 2 examples down below. And you have a mood board for a biotech company. And then on the right, maybe a fashion brand. And have you noticed and how differently they make you feel? And in the following, I'm going to, when I give you my case study, I'll show you how you can create a mood board. And the beauty of a mood board is sort of like an exchange, and it translates your words, your thoughts into a visual language. And this is really a very powerful tool at your disposal. Now we have learned about 3 basic design principles, and I want to introduce to you one fundamental design concept, and that is called visual hierarchy. You may wonder, what is that? And that's basically in how we can arrange the visual elements, and so that we draw the viewer's attention to the most important message that we want to convey. And why we want to use visual hierarchy is because, and this is a built-in survival mechanism in human beings, that when we are in a new environment, whether we're out in the field or in front of an image, our brains go directly, we filter out less important information. We only we focus on the most interesting or most important information in front of us. And so if our design is very cluttered, and the brains have to work extra hard to figure out the meaning, and that's not fun, isn't it? And so we want to make it easy for our viewer to quickly understand what our design is, to quickly draw their attention to the most important message in our design, and so that our design can stand out. And there are some techniques that you can use to achieve visual hierarchy. And so here are some examples. And you don't have to take a screenshot or anything like that, because Albert later on can give you the handout which contains all these examples. And I can show you a couple of examples here. And this is an image of a diver and a whale. Can you see how when you enlarge the size of the whale, and the whole image is much more impactful? And here is a business card design. And by positioning Jane's name on the top of the design, and by enlarging the font of her name, and her identity stands out. And so these are examples of how we use size and positioning effectively. In establishing visual hierarchy, colors are very important too. And there are 2 important concepts that we want to understand. The first is called complementary colors. And complementary colors are a pair of colors that are in contrast. For example, red and green. In my own design, you can see in visual hierarchy, the text is yellow and is put on a purple background. Yellow and purple are a pair of complementary colors. And see how by using complementary colors, the message really pops. Usually, we find complementary colors on a color wheel. And I also, in fact, included a color wheel in my handout. Another concept regarding color is called accent colors. Accent colors are various variations of a primary color. And they add depth to our design. I think that the accent colors, first of all, the inspiration comes from Mother Nature. I took this picture from my neighbor's garden, and how, see, like there are different shades of purple, and they are set against a green background. And this picture makes you feel very comfortable, right? And because the accent colors can give you a cohesive look and still maintaining a visual interest. And so in summary, if you use these techniques in your design, And you can create clear, engaging, and visually appealing compositions that effectively communicate your message and resonate with your audience. Now, let's move on to AI tools. Here are, okay, hopefully you can all see clearly. And some of the tools that I use often include ChatGPT, Bing Copilot, Midjourney, and Canva. ChatGPT, probably everybody knows about it already. And ChatGPT 4.0 provides advanced features, including color, image generation and design critique. You can now, I think that recently OpenAI introduced ChatGPT 4.0 or something like that. Because of that, and now you can access these advanced features briefly every day during they give you 1 to 2 chats using advanced features. And you can definitely take advantage of this new offering. If you want unlimited access, you pay a subscription fee of $20 per month. The next tool is Bing Copilot. It uses the same technology as ChatGPT because Bing bought OpenAI. With Bing Copilot, they offer basically free image generation features for you, 15 of them free of charge every day. I think that is really a good deal. And that's why I stopped my ChatGPT subscription. And then the next is Midjourney. Midjourney is, unlike ChatGPT or Copilot that does a little bit everything, Midjourney only focuses on one thing, and that is image creation. It provides stunning images. In my opinion, the quality of images is far more superior than ChatGPT or Copilot. I highly recommend Midjourney if you want to use it to create your own brand images. They don't offer any free trials. I recommend the $30 standard subscription. A month is enough, usually is enough for you to create a LinkedIn banner or logo or something like that. And it's $20 more than the basic plan, but with the standard plan, and you can access what they call a relaxed GPU time. And that's basically, you just use relax mode as often as possible, and you can basically create unlimited number of images. And that is a much better deal than the basic design. What do you use AI tools for? Most of the people use AI for stock photo generation. That is understandable, but AI is actually much more powerful than that. You can use AI for brainstorming and ideation, and you can also use AI as a tutor to give you feedback to improve your own design. And I will show you a couple of examples. And I created this yesterday. I wonder whether you can see it clearly. Let's pretend that I want to create a brand image for a health service company. And so I pop this question to Copilot. I want to create a brand image for my health service company. Where should I start? Where can I draw inspiration? And this is usually the questions you ask at the very beginning, and see the answers that you get. Is pretty systematic. It gives you steps that you can take towards creating your image. And basically, this is like a recipe. And you can just check off each item, and you just follow this recipe, and you can get pretty decent a brand image. Based on the answer, you can ask follow-up questions. For example, Copilot mentioned three different logo types. The first one is wordmark. I'm interested and said, hey, can you explain what it is? And then I asked the co-pilot to create a sample image for me, and here it is. The design is pretty crude. However, you can use that you can include that in your mood board. And if you like certain elements in this design, and you can take it and incorporate it in your own customized design. And AI can also give you recommendations for fonts and brand colors, etc. So it's a very powerful tool to use. And now, with that, I want to give you a case study. Given the interest of time, I want to walk through case study number 2, and that is a recent project. I created a logo for my interpretation service. So I don't just preach the principles and the concepts that I shared with you. I shared them with you because I use those principles in my own design. My first, the process starts with some brainstorming. And then so I answer these questions, values, blah, blah, blah. You can see the answers are here. And then I went ahead and created a mood board. And I will zoom in for you. I created, if you can look to the left side of my screen, this app is called Miro. It is a very user-friendly mind mapping app, and you can use others too. You may ask me whether I can offer you a template for mood board. And my answer is no, I don't want to recommend a template. As a matter of fact, I don't think it's a good idea to use a mood board, to use a template at all, unless you are if you're designing for others and you want to present your ideation to your concept art to a client. Otherwise, the template can box you in. And a mood board, in my opinion, and should let your thoughts and ideas free, no boundaries at all. And it's more like a meditative process, and that connects you with your inner desires and subconscious mind. And don't think that the process I introduced here is linear. And especially step number 1 in writing down what you know about yourself and mood board. And usually you go back and forth. As a matter of fact, when you do mood board, you can realize, and that mood board helps you crystallize and your aspirations and your values. In the mood board, when you start out, just dump everything onto the board, and don't worry about that you've created a mess. You can clean it up later. What you see on the screen is a cleaned up version. And you can see that I categorize, and I have 3 bins for my ideas. And the first is industry leaders, and the second column is basically the design masters and heroes that I look up to. And the third column is, about my personal inspirations and my personality. And when I step back and look at the mood board, and I realize that what is really important to me is to be different. Steve Jobs is my hero. And what he says about think differently, being different has inspired me. And so I decide that my logo is not going to be the same as everybody else. I'm not going to follow the suit of the industry trend. Instead, I'm going to choose to be different. My logo should be simple, modern, bold, and use vibrant colors. And after this, I set out to create some initial designs. I used Midjourney, of course. So here is my Midjourney board. And I, can see, and there are a lot, I created a lot. And finally, I'm happy with these two. And because they look really, and they're really sharp, and they are really unique designs. And note the prompt that I used to generate these images. Language interpreter symbol, minimalist, linear art, Milton Glaser style, and here is David Carson style. And Milton Glaser and David Carson are graphic design masters. And when you start out, I recommend that you select a master or select a design that you really admire, that you really love. Picasso once said, it's good to copy, but great to steal. And of course, it's not asking you to steal somebody's art, but what he meant, in my opinion, what he meant is internalizing the creative process that produced results that you admire. And so when I used prompt style, and instead of saying copying Milton Glaser's particular art, and I'm trying to use AI to analyze what makes Milton Glaser style pop, and I want to imitate that process. And so I've got these two designs. And after that, and it's all, if you use AI to generate art, you now all know that AI generated images are not patentable. They're actually not yours. And so in order to make the design really yours, you have to brand it with your personal touches. And so after I've got my initial design, my friend Susan, who's an artist, helped me make the outline more bolder. And then I decided to play with different design elements. And this star here is an incidental find. But when I put the star in the design, and it brings everything together. And the star actually, I'm just thinking that the power of visual art is that it really connects with your unconscious mind. And that during the whole process, I mean, thinking, what interpretation means to me. And when I see the star, I feel like it has answered my prayer and gives the definite, the answer that I'm looking for. And for those of you who haven't done any interpretation work, interpreters usually work in the background. It doesn't matter whom you interpret for. You can interpret for the president of the United States, or you can interpret for a patient on the street who doesn't understand English. No matter who you interpret for, you are always in the background. And that sometimes bothers me because I feel like, our service, should be recognized. And so when I see this star, and makes me think about what being an interpreter stands for, and I realize, and that's what makes this profession so great. And that star, I call it the star of service. And this is my head off to my profession. And that is, yes. And if you have a big ego, if you want to be famous, don't be an interpreter, because that's not what this profession is for. This profession is for you to be in the background, but you help two people who are in the dark because of the language and cultural barriers. And because of you illuminate their dialogue, and you bring them together in understanding. Um, Sorry, I'm getting emotional here because you can see that probably passion is one of my personalities, and that's why I selected the red color. But you can see that with the star, and now I own this design, and it's completely mine. It now tells, it's not just, an invitation of the style of a master. It's not an AI generated, but it has a meaning. And that connects, that's my story, my understanding of my profession, and I am sharing that with the audience. So, in summary, and when I evaluate um, this design, this whole process, and I can say that first time in my life, I'm proud of my creation. Um, and I feel that my artwork um, has used all the principles that I shared with you. And so, first of all, your design is to communicate your story. Your design should be used to share your message with your target audience. And this logo is simple and is authentic. It's definitely all is me. In terms of visual hierarchy, and I used a white outline against a red background, and that forms in contrast, and so the logo stands out. And the star particularly directs the viewer's attention right away, and adds a deeper meaning to the whole design. And so that comes to the end of my presentation. And I just want to remind everyone, we've gone through 3 basic design principles and one fundamental design concept. And these are clear communication, simplicity, authenticity, and visual hierarchy. When I go to a presentation, and in a couple of days, I pretty much forget what they have shared. I know, so I don't expect you to remember everything, but you forget everything else. Just remember, when you do your brand design, it's all about communication, communication, communication. And you don't have to compete with others to see whether your design is better or not. And your design should help you stand out. And the way to stand out is to be true to yourself and to be different. And your design, your design number 1 job is to tell people who you are and what value that you offer to others. And now I wish that with these tools, and you can go out, create fabulous, standout personal brand images, and share your story. And that's the end of my presentation.
All right, awesome. We had a couple of questions, and appreciate this this webinar and your time today, Shirling. That was great. For the images created by Copilot, do you have full permission to use them anywhere, or do they have restricted permissions?
Can you clarify what do you mean by restricted permission?
Are you, I guess it's, are you able to use your AI generated imagery anywhere?
Oh, yeah. And so I may be wrong, but I believe so. And that's actually that's the blessing and the curse of AI generated images. And I think that is a Supreme Court ruling or something, and that determines that AI generated images are not they're not entitled to intellectual property protection. And so basically, if you see, like, if you go to Meet Journey, I guess if you want, you can grab somebody else a design for your personal use. I wouldn't do that because I know how hard it is to do a great design. But if you create a design using, for example, Copilot or Meet Journey or ChatGPT, you can use it anywhere. It doesn't have an intellectual property right to it. I'm wondering whether that's the meaning of this question.
Yeah, I think this person left the webinar, so I don't know if they can clarify or not. Any other questions from the group? All right. Well, we got some really great feedback. Folks were saying that they love the logo and for explaining the essence or explaining how to capture our essence as individual professionals in any design that we create. So
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Any final thoughts before we conclude?
I'd love to hear from the audience, and I want to know, like, whether they're in the process of designing their brand images, whether it is a LinkedIn banner or it's a logo or a website, and what do you think is the most challenging in creating your own brand images?
Not in the process yet. One of them is inspired now. That's always good. I think personally, it's always the logo because there's so many directions that you can take it.
Yeah, I know that. One final thought is it is in I know there are, like, nowadays, because of AI and because of YouTube in the Albert, and I really love that you mentioned one time that you don't like those what is called shorts, 1 minute videos, because they make you feel like it's and they're turning everything into McDonald's, quick in, quick out.
Junk food
And
content, yeah.
junk food content. And I think that the same, I have the same feeling for artwork creation. And now, there's people on YouTube and they say, oh, you only need 1 minute to create a fabulous LinkedIn banner or a logo design. Why not? But the truth is, if you are really dedicated to create an authentic logo design or any other brand images, it takes time and effort and takes a lot of, you can be very frustrated. And sometimes when you start out and you may think, oh, it's like, which direction should I take? And that's the first question. And that's what the mood board is for. And you can go back to the mood board several times, back and forth, back and forth. And after the first one, you step back, you go back in, and you step back, you meditate. And that's just a slow process for you to gradually understand what you really want. And then even after that, like, I generated images, they're all random. And I can easily create 200-300 images just to have one that I'm really happy with. And so I would say, don't turn your brand making into, don't bring junk food culture into your own effort to create your brand images.
Yep. Here's a good question. In a world of job seekers jockeying to capture the attention of potential employers, what are some examples that you've noticed that seem to stand out in terms of LinkedIn banners, business cards, etc.?
Yeah, and that is a very good question. And I don't have it with me now. But Albert, do you remember that we have this cohort with Nina? She used one example, and it's a very simple design. And I think that is a woman who provides counseling service. And the whole banner has a pink background and only one simple linear design of a human who's down. And then there's a hand holding that person. And there's like one line and says, you don't have to be alone. And that visual image is very impactful. It draws, it connects with your viewer emotionally. And so my advice is that how you stand out from your competitors is that I think is to create, not just tell people, this is what I do. If you're project manager, everybody, like waterfall, whatever, right? And so you have the gears in your background. Everybody does that. And so how are you different than others? And so I think the LinkedIn banner should show how you are different than others, and your design should evoke an emotional connection with the others and challenge your viewer sometimes. And your design can raise the question, just like they may not agree with you, but then your design can, have like a quote or your question, and just like, oh, you make them stop. And if they have to answer the question and they are paying attention to you, I think that's the first step to separate yourself and to separate yourself from your competitors.
Wonderful. Have you used Adobe Firefly or Canva for creating images or logos? I believe they have AI integrated in these tools.
I haven't used AI Firefly, and I used Canva a little bit, but my logo is not created in Canva. It's an app on my phone. It's called Bazaar. And because I already paid the subscription for Bazaar, it can remove the background, and so that's why I used Bazaar. But Canva, if you pay then the subscription fee, you can use the same features. And so I would say recommend Canva because it has so many design elements at your disposal, and Canva is very user friendly. I highly recommend Canva.
Excellent. And then please share more info about Steam Dragons.
In Steam Dragons, I started out a few years ago with my friend, with my husband and my friends, and we were very unhappy with the education at the time. So we felt like in our society, because of Silicon Valley, and there's so much focus on developing technologies, and it is not balanced with art and how we are, first of all, we are humans, and technology should be only used as tools and not like we put technology on the pedestal. It's like technology dominates everything. And so that's what we wanted to do. And that's why we named it Steam Dragons. And STEAM is STEM plus A, and that we are placing art back into our education. And so dragons, that we are a bunch of nerds. And so my husband and my friends, they play Dungeons and Dragons. And so that's where dragons come from.
Love it. Love it. All right. Let's see. If there are no more questions, we'll go ahead and conclude here. Shuling, once again, thank you so much again for your time. We hope all of you who were watching tonight learned a lot from this presentation and can apply it towards your design, as well as the creation of your own logo or whatever you may need to stand out in your job search. We'll also have the recording for this webinar live for you to view within the next 24 to 48 hours or so, and look forward to sharing it. Check out many of our other events on Albert's List, and we'll see you again soon. All right. Thank you very much. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.